We'll put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Co's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
it was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, "Say it ain't so, Co! Say it ain't so!" Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game, but it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
How was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just that, hey, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like he's got the ball yet. First NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, that's just so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house tonight. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little cleared. But we're joined by Pat Donovan.
It looks like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, once he took over Richmond Cannon, still like, but look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then kind of make us do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers at wide receiver, Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in, and here we go. Welcome into the Buccateers podcast, ladies and gentlemen, on a Mancave Monday, all things memorabilia. We wish it was a victory Monday, but sadly, far teams get 17 victory Mondays throughout the course of the season, so be lucky to have 3 out of 4 thus far. And we're here to talk about no such thing as moral victories, but a tough loss against the Eagles, and then a lot of great things about jerseys, memorabilia, and more with your host, Zach Johnson. I'm Tampa Tones. Zach, Bucs by 30. How we doing, brother? Tough loss yesterday. Bucs Rays Bolt says, can we get the breaking news? New punter coming soon. Zach, they do have a punter coming in for tryouts tomorrow. It seems like we'll see where that leads, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that I'm ready to see a new punter. I might be ready to see a new special teams coach and maybe some new strategy around special teams before I'm ready to see a new punter, because Dixon can punt. He's just, he takes a little bit longer than we'd like, and the blocking isn't as solid as we need it to be.
I couldn't agree more. And yesterday, it's bad when you notice multiple special teams breakdowns on one punt. And yesterday, that's just what happened, right? You have probably Dixon holding on to the ball too long. But again, I don't want to see him gone yet either. I want a week or two, see if he could fix it. And then if it's a problem, into the Monday night game against Detroit or into the bye week, to me, you solve it then. I do wish as well we'd handle it at a special teams level, because it goes beyond punting. It goes to kicking. It goes to coverage on kickoffs. The only thing that's really doing good right now in our special teams is Cam Johnson returning the football. He's been a really good surprise, but it just can't happen. Thomas McGay, he's really got to get his staff in line quick, got to get Riley Dixon in line quick. I'm not impressed with Evan Deckers thus far. To me, he's not doing a great job snapping the ball, Zach. So to me, yes, Riley Dixon's easy to point the finger at, but it's a lot of things that equate to one terrible performance thus far, punting the football. What say you?
I absolutely agree. I don't think it's solely on Dixon. I mean, I think he rushed the shank punt because of the blocking issues. So I think it's more than just he can't punt. We clearly have seen him punt. We know that he can. It's more than that. It's the blocking. It's the personnel. This is where you feel the absence of a guy like Co Kieft, right? Because he's part of that blocking scheme. And on the first block punt, Co was the only one that really didn't come off his block in that instance. So we've got guys playing in positions where they're not used to or comfortable yet. So I think it's more than just Dixon and his ability to punt. I will say, too bad we can't get Zach Triner back. I don't know what that guy's doing, but
yeah, and he came back last year when Deckers went down a little bit. But among the punters, Bucs are bringing in for Workout Tuesday Ryan Stonehouse, who led the NFL in punting in 22 and 23 with the Titans. Brad Robbins, who was a Bengals punter in 23. So two veteran punters there, Zach, to see. Again, Riley Dixon was a veteran punter himself as well, though, who looked pretty good in preseason. Remember, a lot of guys said he will be the next man with the plan. For those wondering, Zach Triner most recently spent a little bit of time with the Broncos and Seahawks this offseason, was with the Dolphins last year. Now he's a free agent of them. 4 weeks could cost us games. Yeah, that's why in a week or two we don't fix it. You move on, but look at what happened. Remember, people wanted Chase McLaughlin gone after 1 or 2 weeks, and I'm not comparing the two. Chase has done a lot more for this franchise. As Cleve me says, love the Cubs shirt. Playoff week. Yes, sir. Let's go Cubbies. It is playoff week for the Cubs. Hat is Cubs too. Hard to tell. But Zach, before we move on from the punter to the game and then more so to memorabilia, again, if we would have moved on from Chase McLaughlin, it would have looked foolish right now, although his leash is longer than Dixon's, in my opinion, because of what he's done.
Yeah, it's hard to cut a guy after a week or two. There's other conditions. McLaughlin had a new holder. The balls are a little bit different, so there's other variables to it than just that. And I think the patience that Bowles showed with Chase really paid off this week. I mean, not a lot of guys are going to come in and kick a 65-yard field goal outdoors. So let's give Dixon just a little bit longer of a leash and see what happens. I mean, all things said and done, it didn't come down to just the block punt that cost us the game. There was a couple other things there that that really had a bigger impact. It's it's a shitty way to start the game off. It kills momentum and he swings it in the wrong direction. But I don't think it was the sole factor in why we didn't pull that out yesterday.
Couldn't agree more. There were other factors as well, and other factors and other things as well that would bring Jake Camarda back. I would not at this point in time. I mean, maybe down the road as a practice squad body or something, but there's probably a reason that he got signed and released other right away. And, sometimes you get the yips and it takes you a while to recover. He might get his chance down the road, sure, but right now, I think the Bucs are going to just try and strictly bring in punters that they know they can trust, or at least think they can trust to help win now, because they think they can win now. Speaking of win now, Bucs by 30 Tampa Tones here. And Zach, you're doing a little cool giveaway for the Buccateers along with our friends at Duvin Design. You want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So Duvin sent me a box, and it got me to thinking that, prior to being Bucs by 30, I would see stuff on social media where certain influencers or podcast folk got some free swag, and thought, man, that would be cool if I could get some stuff like that. So I got that opportunity and thought, man, this will be a good way to share with those folks that might be feeling the way that I used to feel. So I have a couple of shirts here that I want to give away for some folks that followed us on social and subscribed to the podcast. So we got, I think there's 8 people that entered into the giveaway. So I have a wheel set up, ready to spin. I thought maybe we'd do one early and do one right at the end. What do you think?
Yeah, that's awesome with me. Great with me, brother.
right,
Just
so
appreciate you doing it.
I got the shirts. Let me throw them up here real quick. So we got the first one there. See that there?
Love
Nice,
that.
nice heavier cotton. You're definitely going to want to hang these to dry. I wouldn't trust them in a dryer. And then you got the one with the parrot.
That is beautiful, brother.
And they still got the tags. I haven't worn them. No worries.
Yeah, you sewed the tags back on.
Yeah, that's the old trick, right? So I'm gonna hit the spin for the first one.
Let's get some applause.
All right, Casey. I think that's supposed to be Shaw, and I butchered it and put in Casey Show, but it's Casey Shaw.
There we go. Congrats, Casey.
Yeah. So hit me up, DM me your address. If you're not listening to the show currently, I'll hit you up on social later and get your information, and I'll get that sent out this weekend. And since you were the first one, you can pick which shirt you want, and then the second person that we pick, they'll get the remaining shirt. But we'll do that one right before we finish up here. Leave the folks anticipating the other giveaway.
Both beautiful shirts. Well done. Congrats again, Casey. You're going to love it. I have some Duvin Bucks merch. Very comfortable, very good stuff, very unique. A lot of people compliment it. Those two shirts will go great. I can't decide which one I like better. Both are beautiful. So well done, Zach. Pay attention for later in the show when we give away the other. Zach is a giver, like the book from back in the day. I remember that book. I think I forget who it was by, but what can you do? Zach, real quick, week 6 flex. We did get moved with the 49ers to the later slate, 4 o'clock Eastern slate. I do like that, and I think a lot of football fans will as well, as that adds a better game to the mix for them that day. But thoughts? Bucks hosting San Fran, now moved to 4, was supposed to be 1.
Man, we're facing a lot of demons this season, man. We got the Shanahan demon coming up, and then they move it to a later game, so we'll get the opportunity to face mark two more of those items off the list this year. So I'm all about it. The afternoon games are always typically kind of like meh. So it's nice that we'll have some attention to pay in those later games.
Yeah, definitely so. I'm looking forward to that. And Zach, there's now rumors flying quickly. Speaking of time changes, Sunday could change with the Mariners baseball playoff game. Seattle Seahawks playing at home. They share parking lots, much like the Bucs and Rays did this year. So if you could imagine, they all can't use the same dang parking lot. Thoughts on what the heck might happen this Sunday? If anything, I was reading that they might flex the Bucs to about 6 or 7 o'clock Eastern, potentially. But who knows what might happen? You never know. What say you on that?
Yeah, that's crazy. And whatever they need to do, they need to do it quick so we can start getting on some sort of a schedule for that. I mean, we're already flying across the country, which is going to throw off everybody's timeline. So now you're changing it even more with this. So I don't know, that's crazy. Maybe they should just have the game here in Tampa. It seems like the easiest fix to me.
Yeah, maybe we'll move it to Tampa. No problem. Seattle doesn't have room. Hey, we got a whole empty stadium and Ray J ready to use. Move to nature site. There you go. We'll see what happens. But there's rumors of stadium moving. There's rumors of time slots moving. And in my honest opinion, I always think football's king, but they'll probably prioritize the MLB playoff game because it is playoffs, in my opinion. Remember, when the Bucs and Rays came out, the Rays schedule came out first, but then the Bucs came around and they catered to the Bucs because those games are more important. Here for a playoff game, I think it's going to be the opposite, but we'll see. Really no telling here from Zach or I. But speaking of telling, we'll be back tomorrow on Two Me Up Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, getting you guys ready for that Seahawks-Bucs game. Then remember, on Thursday, we'll come out with our last Thursday edition of the Campus Kickoff with your host, J-Lo, getting you ready for college football. The following week, that moves up to Wednesdays with Wednesday's games. On Thursday, we'll have Toe in the Line with Joey Nips as well. And then Saturday Showdown Kickoff to football weekend show is going to be incredible as well. So loaded slate, just like today, Zach. We're going to talk a little bit about certificate of authenticities, that's kind of a hot topic. And a lot of people kind of get misunderstood in this hobby about certificate of authenticities. For some things, it might mean a lot, like signatures, autographs, for example. If you have a reputable COA, that holds a lot more weight than perhaps a game used item having a COA. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. I think that's the number one question we get asked when we're trying to sell or trade a jersey, and you've got somebody that's new into the hobby because they're so used to COAs on cards, and so they always ask. And then you try to explain to them that, hey, man, a COA is not everything with a gamer. There's other authentication factors that you want to look at and utilize. I don't even know how many sales I've lost. I mean, just this week, I have a jersey that I'm trying to sell, and I've been asked by 3-4 different guys if it's got a COA, which most of these don't, right? Because they don't get out of the facility through an auction site. They get out because the player's giving it to somebody or through another means. So it's not going to have a COA. And to your point, a COA is only good if it's from a reputable company. I don't know how many times we've seen COAs and then the information is not valid. Hell, even PSA, who certs a lot of these jerseys through NFL auction, will cert it to the wrong game, or cert it to the fact that it's issued and it's a gamer, or cert it that it's a gamer and it's issued. And getting that information changed is not easy.
Yeah, not easy indeed. So, Zach, as far as alternatives, perhaps, because a lot of people do use COA as gospel, which you just explained isn't always the right thing to do, especially, again, I'd lean more on it on autographs, but even be careful with those. We've heard about scandals with those. But, Zach, for people saying, okay, mister, if you don't want to do a COA, if you don't have a COA, what helps you kind of provide the quote-unquote authenticness in an item itself? What do you do? What are your tactics, being the man you are with that great of a man cave? What's your tip to maybe beginners or maybe just those unaware of it so far, of saying, hey, before you spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on an item, make sure you know what you're getting and do blank?
Yeah. Research. You want to do research. You want to photo match, and that is not as easy as just typing in Mike Evans on the internet, right? You have to look for the game. You have to know which site's going to take pictures during a game, and then you have to pull up pictures from that game, and then you have to find pictures that have the player in it, and then you're hoping that the dirt spot on the shoulder shows up on the picture that you're looking at so that you can match. Photo matching can come down to looking for loose threads on the jersey. It can come down to looking for a missed stitch or counting mesh holes. If the jersey has been washed, it's going to be almost impossible to photo match because the industrial washers that they use at the team facility will get out almost anything. Get yourself into a community of game-worn jersey collectors and ask for help photo matching. There's some guys that are really good at it. There's some guys that pay for the ability to see more pictures than what are out on the internet, and they will be glad to help you. There's also companies that you can pay that do nothing but photo match, and then they will send you a very nice certificate where they've matched it, what they've matched it to, how they've matched it. Some will even give you a nice little QRC code with plays from the game, like highlights from the game that you can put with the jersey. But a photo match is much more conclusive than a COA.
Mm-hmm. And as Zach said, it's the nail on the head, the photo match. You can't fake stains and imperfections with loose threading and those sorts of things. Now, I'm not saying they can't be accurate, but when somebody only proof is a photo match is holes on the jersey, that scares me a little bit more so than the stain photo matches, because you'll always see people, well, the holes match. Well, sure, but also the holes are stretched differently, they appear differently, they could line up the same, and you just don't know it. So really, stains and threading to me are the best two photo matching opportunities. For instance, I bought a Mike Jenkins, remember him back in the day, the D-back on the Bucs. It has the 40th, I can't believe a decade ago, but it is the 40th season patch on it. And I bought it for pretty cheap. Someone was selling it for issue. That's the other thing. some items are listed for less money because people don't go and photo match them, and then they don't really know what they have, right? So this person thought it was an issue, Jenkins. I get it in, Zach. Next thing you know, I match like 10 threads to that season along the way on the jersey, conclusive photo match. Jersey at least doubles in value with that photo match. So it's things like that, what you have to do. And if you do have a COA, and if you are trying to photo match it with help of the certificate of authenticity, I'd start with even checking if they were active for that game, if they played in that game, because there are COAs out there, Zach, as silly as it sounds, some of the best reputable in the business, as you alluded to, PSA, NFL auctions, those sorts of things. They'll say, hey, this is from X game, but really it's from a whole different game.
Absolutely. I had an Alex Kappa from the London game from 2017, 2018.
Much like my Pat O'Connor too.
Yeah, and he wasn't active in that game. He didn't play. But I went back through the tape, and he played in San Francisco, and I matched it to the San Francisco game. But PSA certed it to the London game because they got it in with the London shipment from the Bucs. So the jersey certed to the wrong game, but it's still game worn. But when I contacted PSA, they wouldn't change the certification. So that jersey is still here, still certed to the wrong game, but is in fact a game worn jersey.
Crazy. Isn't it crazy how that works?
Yeah.
And that's why you got to, what did you say? Do your research. Where can
Do your
some people
research.
start with that? I always like AP images and Getty images myself. And then, Zach, if those don't work, I try and look at the game film, actual game film, and then football cards and stuff real quick. Shout out Jimmy Coletta, Mancave Mondays, baby. Bowman, is Skidit is right. But Zach, what are some thoughtful or useful pages maybe to help people match?
There's a bunch of Facebook groups out there that are centered around game worn jerseys, and there's some amateur photo matchers in there. And I don't have the name of that company that does that really nice photo matching. You know what I'm talking about? So they do like the black glossy matted photo matches, and
I literally have I had my Jameis Winston was through them. I think it was photomatch.com or something like that. I forget what it was exactly, but it is a high-end photo match site.
Yeah, the first thing I will say, and I think the most important thing is, if you're going to get into this game-worn hobby, get yourself into a Facebook group of game-worn jersey collectors, get into the community, start networking, start asking questions, and really try to educate yourself on it, because there's no real manual on it. All of us have gotten into this hobby and have built our level of expertise through trial and error. And, at some point, most of us have got because of, that's the one thing about this hobby is sometimes when somebody throws something out, you don't have a whole lot of time to do research because somebody else will snipe that item and then you miss out on it. And so sometimes you make a bad purchase because you did it too fast, and then you find out the item's not what it is. So that's why you want to get into a community that kind of self-polices and doesn't allow somebody to mispost an item and try to take advantage of somebody.
Yeah, and you never know. You got to watch out. There are people out there, as the Godfather joins us on Facebook, who will try and take advantage and do a lot of crazy things. There's fake COAs that you got to look out for, fake photo match people that you got to look out for. And if you're in Facebook groups, just a lot of fake profiles as well. Been plenty of scams before. I mean, a lot of disgusting scams, like people faking cancer and sicknesses to get game-worn jerseys, because they are a big asset. And a lot of these athletes and players don't even realize how valuable these jerseys are on the open market. And we'll get into pricing and stuff here in a minute. Our guy Jimmy Coletta says, question for you guys, how do you feel about the NFL and tie games? I don't think they should be a thing. Zach, I'm not a big tied game guy myself. One thing I don't understand is how the overtime period is only 10 minutes long. I mean, I get injuries and preventable things and stuff, but overtime used to be 15 minutes long. Now it's 10 minutes long, which pretty much gives you 2 to 3 possessions at most and almost opens the door for a lot more ties, where if you give a 15-minute period and, you play through the end of that 15-minute period, I know it's another quarter, but kind of sets it up more natural. To me, that's what I would do to try and eliminate ties, install the 15-minute period and kind of just play on until the end of that period. If it ends in a tie, then great. But if not, it probably wouldn't. What say you?
Yeah, I think there definitely needs to be a different way to handle overtime so that we don't end in a tie. I'm a big fan of the way college does it. You line them up at the 20 and you give them 4 downs, and then the other team gets a shot, and then you move them back until you're forced to go for 2. I heard that proposal would be good, and then I heard one where everybody gets 3 or 4 chances to score a touchdown, and then if you both do, then you start kicking longer and longer field goals in rotation until somebody misses. There, it's the NFL. It's 2025. We shouldn't have games ending in a tie.
And other sports eliminated that, right? You don't see any other sport really end in ties. Baseball, they advance their play where, hey, nobody ends in a tie and it's quicker, right? You could maybe do that, like you alluded to, Zach, the college football overtime element. Or maybe you make it, even if you want to time it, make it 5-minute quarters. Somebody starts at the 50-yard line or something like that and go from there. I don't know, but people have said, like doing a shootout in hockey when the overtime period ends in a tie, maybe you do a field goal competition. That could be a thing as well. There's a million different opportunities to make sure games don't end in a tie. And now it screws up a lot for standings, right? Purposes, playoffs, judgments like that. Yeah, I think we're far beyond the days of ending in ties. A tie really does no good. And at that point, you played 10 minutes of extra football. 5 more minutes wouldn't hurt a damn thing. Let's be quite frank with you. Let's be completely honest with you. So I'm against ties. They got to fix it, in my opinion, Zach. And I think the game could continue to get better. Speaking of getting better, the Buccateers are here to talk about pricing in the hobby on a Man Cave Monday. Zach, for buyers, prices are getting better of some things, but for sellers, certainly not a seller's market of late, my friend. Kind of the hobby and the pricing in terms of game-worn jerseys and the craziness of the roller coaster we've been on here the past 5-7 years or so.
Yeah, when I got into this thing, I think I have a year or two on you as far as the Bucs gamers go.
I believe so, yeah.
I was buying game-worn jerseys of decent caliber players cheaper than I could buy a retail elite Nike jersey. So I'm talking less than $350, right, for game-worn jerseys. Now, not all guys, but the majority of the Bucs guys were that price. The market really changed course when Brady came, obviously, right? Because now there's more notoriety, there's more eyeballs on the Bucs. With that brought a lot of flippers and a lot of opportunistic guys that were seeing how cheap the jerseys were, buying them up, reselling them for a much bigger price point, and it really kind of, shifted the tides of the market. Brady leaves, Baker comes in. A lot of guys have a lot of merchandise that they paid way too much for and are now trying to sell it and get out from underneath of it, but they're still trying to not lose their ass on it. So they're trying to sell it for close to what they did, but it's still overvalue. And now we've got a lot of new jerseys coming out, and we got guys that are just now coming into the hobby and are overpaying for things again. So it's kind of like the ebbs and flows of it. So you have to be really careful and be cautious of what your budget is, because it's really easy to get overextended, especially with an auction site. Right, because the auction site adds that little competitive aspect into it as well, where you're like, oh, no, that's my jersey. I don't care. I'm bidding this up and I'm gonna get it. And now the next thing you know, you're a grand over market, and you're never gonna see that money.
And that's the thing. People forget when you're buying this. Yes, it is an asset, but it's also one that kind of takes in its own animal. Kind of is its own thing. The price is different. You're likely never going to get what you bought it for unless you win the gamble, right? Like a Mike Evans and Levante David. If you bought them right before COVID and Brady era, for example, now, sure, they're worth a lot more money. But for instance, even these white creamsicles ending right now in Bucs bids, Zach, they're going for, thousands of dollars. And,
Yeah.
even if this is the only year we wear these white creamsicles, it's hard to imagine that, for instance, a Charlie Heck jersey would fetch $1,900 a couple of years from now, no matter the variation, no matter the patches.
Yeah. Well, look at the original creamsicle. Like, how many of those are being sold for $2K? Not a lot. I mean, I know the caliber of player from that time frame is probably not the same as what we're talking about now, aside from maybe Leroy Selman. But, to your point, Ryan Miller sold for $2,100 last night, and Charlie Heck sold for $19. Those are nowhere near the price points for those two gentlemen. I have a Ryan Miller from his rookie season that he wore all year, has team repairs. It's a nice jersey. It will never sell for $2,100, not even close. But somebody bought that and thinks that's what the price is because that's what they paid for it, and that's not how it works.
No, if you think it's how it works, you're probably never going to end up moving your jersey. Sadly, you're probably going to end up holding on to them. And again, you just have to know that going in. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But you have to know that going in that you're going to have to hold on to the jerseys and take a little bit of a loss on those puppies and right up front. So again, just a fair warning. You pay something for a jersey, you're not going to get that back necessarily. And
most likely. Especially if you have to sell, right? Because the need to have to sell creates this urgency to where if somebody makes you an offer and now you're contemplating taking a loss, if you can be patient and don't really have to sell something, you can probably get closer to what you paid for it. But, collectibles, the old saying is it's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, right? And cards and autograph things are a little bit different because there are pricing guides for those items. So there's kind of like a national market value for especially sports cards. But these jerseys, man, these are truly one of one items. And I don't think people understand that when we talk about these jerseys in this way. Even though they wear the white jerseys 11 times a season, that doesn't mean they're one of 11. They're each one of one because they wore it in a different game. It has different stats attached to it, has different wear attached to it. It might have a memorable play attached to it, and that's going to affect the value, right? So even though, Mike Evans jerseys, are all, somebody might consider the game worn all the same. That's not the case because a white one is going to sell for less than a red one. A pewter one's going to sell for more than both of them. A creamsicle is going to sell more for the rest of them, and then you start adding patches. That's going to change it. And if Mike had a big day in it, that's going to change it. So there's really no, okay, this guy's value is $500. It's just not that. It's not feasible that way. So everyone is an individual item with an individual value.
Truly a one-of-one card collector. Every single memorabilia item is a one-of-one. Christian Metz, 350 in 2 years for the Heck. I don't know about that low, but it will go down. It will go down. Richard, not so happy Monday, but we're okay. What were you saying, Zach?
I was just going to say, if that Heck can fetch 50% of what it sold for, I think they'll be doing good. And I still think that's too much.
At least it's there you go. I mean, at least it's a white cream with the 50th year patch, got a little use on it. But it's just
to me, if you want to talk rarity, the orange creamsicle with the 50th patch is going to be more rare than the white creamsicle with the 50th patch because we're only wearing the orange once and we're wearing the white twice. So there you go.
And we never seen creamsicles reach auction either.
Not the orange ones. The white ones did. We saw some issued, and we've seen some issued creamsicle orange, and we've seen some issued creamsicle white. But we did see 4 white game-worn creamsicles hit the market already, which I was kind of shocked at. I figured everybody would keep them, considering it's the first time we've worn them since '76. I figured all the players would keep them. But I also know that the Bucky got out, and the Bucky is in the wild.
Bucky in the wild, is it really?
Yeah.
Any else that might be out there?
That's the only ones I know of. The 4 that sold on Bucs bids and the Bucky that went to an quote unquote off-grid collector is in the wild.
the great J-Lo, host of Campus Kickoff right here on the Buccateers of Mancave Monday. A great way to forget about yesterday. Go Bucs. Pep and Steppen joining us. But yeah, Zach, it's going to be interesting to see if any creamsicles reach the marketplace now that the white creamsicles have. As you said, they only wear them once, but this is going to be year 3 now for some of these players wearing these creamsicles. So you'd wonder if that makes them a little more available. But regardless, Bucks bids kind of open the floodgates on pricing. To me, if you were going to go for one of the white creams, Parrish and Morrison are more desirable because it is their rookie years at the very least. And go ahead.
Parrish has his first career NFL sack in it, so that's going to bring a little bit more value to it as well.
Yeah, and that is exactly right. We're joined on Facebook by the great Matt Kratz, friend of the programs. We appreciate that. He has a question, actually. Can you explain what a Bucky is for those who are in that don't know? You want to take the honor?
Yeah, it's Bucky's game worn jersey from the Jets game, the 76 creamsicle. So Bucky is one of those players that will sell his jerseys. He has a resource that he utilizes and he sells his jersey. So he keeps his jerseys and he pays the team the $750 that the players are required to pay the team to keep their jersey. And then he sells it to somebody else for X amount of dollars. And then that person will reach out to people in the community and offer it up for sale at a profit. So what do you value something like that, right? $750 is the original price. And then Bucky flips it and makes his coin. And then the reseller flips it and makes his coin. Now, is the value what you paid the reseller, or is the value what the originating cost is? And therein lies the conundrum of how you value game-worn jerseys.
It's kind of like cards to an extent too, right? If you buy a box of cards for $150, but you pull a one of one or something, you're going to flip the one of one. And then, it just turns into crazy things. I'm trying to relate it to card terms for our card collectors out there, but really uncomparable. It's weird. It's interesting. It's unique. Not weird in a bad way, but the market is its own unique thing. And Zach, at the same token, though, you could list something and somebody could buy it in the snap of a finger. For example, I listed my Logan Hall game used headband I got last year on eBay for $75. And it's sold today randomly. And I've had that on eBay for probably 4 or 5 months now or so. So you really never know when somebody out there is really looking for an item, a specific, and it might just get bought right away.
Yeah. Well, I bought my first Evans for $1,000. I thought it was a really good deal at the time. I negotiated the hell out of it because the guy wanted 17. I talked him all the way down to $1,000. It was a white one. It was worn. I think it was worn in a preseason game. It didn't have a whole lot of wear on it. Brady came to town. The Whales moved into the hobby. Prices went through the roof. I decided, hey, this might be a good time to turn one jersey into several jerseys. And I listed it. I sold it for $2,500. And then somebody that bought that jersey sold it for closer to $5,000. And then the last time I think that jersey sold, it was $7,500. So what's the value on that? He played maybe 8 snaps in it, and it's selling for $7,500 during the COVID. COVID really drove the prices of stuff up just because everybody had disposable money, so the prices went through the roof. Plus, you had Brady, so you just never know, man. You never know, and I've faced the other side of that coin far too many times, paying an exorbitant price for something and then losing my butt on it. And I've got 9 for sale right now that I'm taking a loss on every single one of them because the market dropped out on us, especially on your second tier guys.
Yeah, the second tier guys, exactly. And nothing against those guys, but they're just not holding the value that the top tier guys do, obviously. Mr. Folger says I'd kick a kitten for a worse creamsicle. Yeah, that's a good one to get. That would be a very intriguing one to get.
But I also think people need to understand that the second tier guys make up 80% of the inventory for game worn jerseys, right? Because your top 20% of guys are the ones that are heavily coveted by the people in the business, and they have them. They also have the highest demand for them from family, from other players. So they just don't get out as much as your second string linebacker or the wide receiver 4. Those are far more available. So those what make up your collection. When you look around here, for instance, I have, I don't know, on top of my head, 40, 45 jerseys. 10 of them are maybe top tier guys. The rest of them are, your middle to lower end guys, because that's what's available. And if you really want to be in the hobby, you gotta take what's available, especially if you only do one team.
And Zach, that's where it is a little bit like cards too. The top name guys get the less cards out in the public. You're going to get, for instance, when Jameis was the first pick, you'd have an autograph of Jameis Winston, which might have only had 10 autographs out there, but a quarterback taken in round 3 or 4 probably had hundreds of autographs out there, much like these jerseys. You're going to have more availability and opportunities at the lesser guys, because they do. Remember where Kim Jarrett cleared his whole shed out of them. He sold every jersey, glove, shoe he could pretty much do, and so does Bucky. But again, more private collectors are getting the Buckies, more family members are getting the Buckies, more high-end pricing, which limits the opportunity at Bucky. So it is a great point. And Zach, the other thing I'll mention, it's kind of a catch-22, because the rarities are the high-end roster guys, or the roster guys who are practice squad guys, as weird as that sounds, because they're really not going to have many jerseys that they wear, because they're kind of just hovering on the practice squad. For instance, if you're a Rashad Wisdom guy, got him right back here, shout out my dude Wisdom, he probably only had 1 jersey last year, 2 game used jerseys last year, which are probably preseason worn, not even regular season worn. This year, again, he was active for 1 game. So it's really a catch-22 where the high-end guys and the practice squad guys, although their value is way different, those are going to be the rare ones, where the backups and the lower end starters, in a weird sense, you're going to have a very better opportunity to get those. Like Zach, for instance, I think Will Golston has a ton of Bucs jerseys out there. Anthony Nelson, a ton of Bucs jerseys out there. Not comparing, but they're easily more notable or better than a guy like D'Adrian Sanat back in the day. What's more rare? The D'Adrian Sanat.
Right. And I'm personally trying to do what I can to skew the market on Jamel Dean. So I have 5 of them, and I figure the more of them I can get, the higher the value goes, because then there won't be any more out in the wild. So, but yeah, good point. One of the ones that I want the most, that I covet the most, is an AJ Francis jersey. And I've chased it almost from day one of being in this hobby, and not because AJ Francis set the world on fire for the Bucs. He was a practice squad guy. He played, I think, 1 or 2 preseason games, but the jersey exists. I want it, and I can't get it. So it just drives us. Another, I want a Mountaineer that plays for the Buccaneers, and that makes, getting certain things very difficult, because now you got to try to find, the last guy that played for us was Sims. There's only 2 of that I know of in the wild, and one we don't even know where it is, and the other one, the guy is very attached to it, so he's not coming off of it anytime soon. So it's those little things like that that help us kind of form our collections. It might not always be, I'm doing Evans and I'm doing Godwin and I'm doing Brady. Honestly, if you're doing Brady, you better sell a kidney and a lung. Yeah, hopefully you find a gold deposit buried on your land that you didn't know existed, because when you're talking Brady, you're talking 6 figures, and it's not the lower end of the 6 figures.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's a crazy thing with the market. I remember when people started selling all his issued, blah, 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 gloves, all that. Those are even going for crazy amounts of money. Speaking of money, Zach, you got anything for sale? Any fire sale items you'd like to share about? Or if you ever did list anything, where can the people maybe find your items? Twitter, Facebook, eBay?
Yeah, I did put a post up on Twitter with some stuff that I'm selling. I don't really sell that way. That's just kind of a weird thing to do, but I thought, why not give it a try? I think I have more people follow me on Twitter than I do on Facebook, so I thought it might be worth it. And there's a Facebook group for Bucs game worn jerseys that I post in. There's also an NFL group that I post in. Hopefully the government's not listening, but I don't really like to pay taxes on things. So I don't sell on eBay just because you have to report that income. So yeah, if you're interested in something and getting in, I've got a lot of low end stuff that I'm moving. I just don't have the space for it anymore. I bought it because I have an obsessive personality and I can't stand to not have every single one that hits the market. So I end up buying a bunch of stuff and then it comes in and you can see it back here. It's just laying on the couch. And I don't think that that's the respect that they deserve, but I just do not have the wall space for all of them. So come and buy some of them from me and give them a good home.
Yeah, and that's the thing. All jerseys are viewed different, right? What's laying on one person's couch might be framed in another person's house as well. So give the jerseys a great home. Like I said, if you're interested, I don't have any jerseys at this time, but I do have some cards, some other items available on my eBay. I could post a link to eBay if you wish. Like I said, I just sold a Logan Hall headband. I'm not selling that headband, though. I got that from my guy, Chris Braswell, after the last game, which is really cool, Zach, the white creamsicle game. Always nice to have a souvenir from a game you were at.
Yeah, that makes it even more special, right? To get a jersey or an item from the game that you were at. It's even better to get it directly from the player. That is a bucket list item for me. I have yet to get something directly from a player at a game. Now, I use that caveat at a game because Rashad White was the man and hooked me up with a gamer. That was awesome of him, but he mailed it to me, and I really want to get one like right off the shoulder pads, man. That would be awesome. And I would like to say, just because these jerseys are on my couch doesn't mean they're bad jerseys. I am a maniac, and I have a certain way that I display, and these colors don't work with my current setup. So that's why they're on the couch to be sold, is because my current setup, I can't put these colors up because of the way the basement is. So it doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that it's your opportunity to get a good jersey at a great price because I overpaid at 3:00 in the morning when I was having a manic episode.
And Zach, to piggyback off that, everybody has a different display pattern, what they like to display, thoughts, creamsicles, alarm clocks. Pepin Steppen says he's looking for Sean King. Any advice for him as he looks for one?
There's at least one gamer out there that I know of Sean King. I can't remember who has it. I had it at one point and many moons ago and traded it. I can't remember who has it, but it went through the Facebook group. So if you're not sure what that group is, DM myself or Tones and we'll help you. We'll send you a link to it so you can get in there and start learning and networking.
Networking is key in a hobby like this. I know you hear it about life in general, but Zach, the longer I was in it, the more connections I made, a lot more opportunities opened up in the hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. The more connections you make, the more people will reach out to you before they post something for, general sale. So you get a lot of items that, you might miss out on otherwise, because you never know when somebody's going to post something in a Facebook group, right? You'll be at work and you'll get an alert and you can't look at your phone, and then you go on break and you look at your phone and you're like, oh man, that jersey just went up, and then you go to buy it and somebody else has already sold it because they posted it at 1:07 on a Wednesday afternoon and you couldn't see it at that moment. So by having those connections, people will give you a heads up like, hey, I'm going to move this, are you interested?
Yeah, and another thing is, tip of advice: if you are trying to sell something out there, I know you're looking for a Sean King, but say you get the Sean King and down the road, you might, hey, I want to sell things happen, right? Bills come up, people downsize houses, you don't have the room anymore, whatever the cost might be, why you need to sell an item. You got to keep in mind, never try and overprice something, because if the item does get stale out there, it's hard to sell. You know what I'm saying? For instance, if I was just to list the sevens for $100,000 behind me, it would be out there for years and years and years. Well, maybe not. No, I'm kidding. But, if I were to do that, and then everyone would be like, even if I lower it to that point, all right, $10,000, people would be like, that one's been available forever. I'm kind of good on that. So just a little tip of advice: try and not overprice things if you're looking to move them. As we alluded to earlier, price to move. Zach, with those white creamsicles. J-Lo did get lucky enough. We were at the game together. I got the headband. J-Lo got the glove from Tyler McClellan, offensive lineman rookie, so that's pretty cool there. But, Zach, one word of advice to these cats, too. Obviously, it sounds cliche, but you pay to play. The closer you sit to the tunnel, the closer you sit to the sideline, row one, the better chance you have at acquiring some of these things. I know some people get mad online. Oh, you get so much stuff. Well, sorry. Maybe if you didn't sit in the 300, I'm not knocking anybody. You know, people who sit closer, if that's your end goal of getting items or autographs or whatever the heck it might be, high fives, selfies with the players, you might want to sit a little closer to the action.
Absolutely. They can't throw a glove into the 300s, so you got to be closer to the field to get that, and to do that you got to pay for that action, right? That's the old saying. So you can't be mad at somebody else that paid for that seat and then was able to get him something. Mike's real notorious about throwing out his gloves from warm up, throwing out his gloves from first half, throwing out his gloves from second half. So you could potentially, he potentially throws out 6 gloves each game. But you got to be in the right section and do your research, because you don't want to be like me and end up on the wrong side of the field in Carolina because you thought you were you were going to get right next to the tunnel and get some stuff, and then get there and realize that you're by the Panthers tunnel and you don't want any of that shit.
Yeah, I'm learning to try and do a little better job of that, the research part of thing. Even by Bucs, it's harder at a home game, but you never know. I was lucky enough to get the Braswell. So when I get stuff too, I don't really sell it from players, unless, for instance, I was lucky enough to get it maybe crazily bad. Like last year, I luckily got 2 Logan Hall headbands. Okay, well, now I'll sell one because, what's the point of having 2? But if I only got the one, I would never sell it. That's just the type of guy I am. Zach, before we wrap up, and we're each going to predict a Monday night game as part of the final words, and give our final words. Quick thoughts now that we have seen the white creamsicles in person. They are becoming available to bid on. Where does that rank in your top list of Bucs jerseys now that you've seen him? As Olivia joins us, and we do love our lady listeners. Thanks, Olivia.
Man, they were beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, they were absolutely gorgeous. But if I could pick between the 76 and the standard orange creamsicle, for me, since I still don't have an orange creamsicle, that's where I want. Orange is my favorite color anyway. So I would really like to get one. It really bummed out. I had a really nice line on potentially getting a creamsicle this year with the 50th, and unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna pan out now. But that's how it goes, man. You're in the game for a reason, but sometimes life's bigger than the game, and that's real. That's the reality of it. But I would take either one, but I'm not gonna overpay. I'm not paying $2,100 for a Ryan Miller. It's just not gonna happen in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not gonna pay $1,900 for a Charlie Heck. And Parrish is probably going to get close to $2,000. That's the only one that I could probably maybe justify it in my sick, twisted mind that was worth the $2,000 because it's Parrish and it's his rookie year and he's playing really well. But I also am hesitant with rookies to overpay because you just never know what the years after a rookie year are going to look like. And then you might be stuck with something that you overpaid for, and now you'll never move it because they didn't pan out. So that's the game that we play, and that's just the way I do it. But I would like either one, but I would prioritize orange over white, personally.
Yeah, and now there's so many variations. That's the other thing. If you're trying to collect them all, you might think, hey, it's just easy, red, white. Well, no, you got alarm clock, you got basic red, you got basic white. Now you got creamsicle, orange and white. You got the pewter variations. You got the old red color rush, yada, yada, yada. A lot of great details go into it. Jennifer F., friend of the program's joining us. Thanks for tuning in, Jen. We do appreciate you. Love our lady listeners saying agreed. J-Lo saying great show, fellas. Love it. Zach, before we get to our final words, we do have a Monday night doubleheader tonight, which is becoming more of a prevalent thing for football fans watching out there. I'll do Jets Dolphins. You'll do Bengals Broncos prediction. I'm going to predict the Jets end up beating the Dolphins, at least play a close game. Give me the Jets on the road. I think Justin Fields is a really good welcome back. He missed last week's game against the Bucs with a concussion. I think the Jets are ascending with head coach Aaron Glenn, while the Dolphins are descending with head coach Mike McDaniel. Zach, what say you on the 8:15? I did the 7 o'clock kickoff on ESPN, 8:15 Eastern on ABC, Bengals Broncos. Thoughts on that one quick before the final words?
Yeah, give me the Broncos all day. I think the Bengals are going to be hurting until Burrow comes back, if Burrow comes back. And I'm going to hit the spin on this last giveaway.
Yep, giveaway time. One more shirt. Remember, this is great to do by Zach. We appreciate it. Zach Duvin, one shirt was awarded earlier. The next shirt to be had now. Both are beautiful shirts. Can't even lie.
The next shirt goes to my man Ricky. One name like Prince, so I'll hit them up on social, and I'll get all their information, and I'll get those out this week. I work from the office now. My company pulled us back into the office, so I work from the office Monday through Thursday. So my shipping day is Friday. So I'll get this stuff out on Friday. To those that won, congratulations. I hope you enjoy them. It's really nice to be able to give these away to people that are deserving of it and good fans. Thanks for following the show. Thanks for supporting us. We really appreciate it. And these shows are a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys can tell, but Tones and I are real passionate about this stuff. And I want some guests to come on the show. So if you collect something, let us know and come on the show and talk about it. It doesn't have to be jerseys. It doesn't have to be sports memorabilia. If you're into collecting thumbtacks, let's talk about it. Let's talk about why you do it. How it started, why you're passionate about it, what you look for, the rarities, all that stuff. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about collectibles, memorabilia, because for me, memorabilia is an emotional thing, and it stems back to childhood. So let's talk about that aspect of it, and let's learn some stuff, right? Because that's how you learn, is by listening to the people that know best about it.
Couldn't agree more, Zach. That's greatly said, and that's why I like memorabilia a lot too. It relates me to my childhood, nostalgic type moment. Great to see. Richard, Dolphins wearing nice alternates tonight. Yeah, those would be nice game used item. But great job with the giveaways, Zach. Remember, Two Me Up Tuesdays, we do giveaways as well. We've given away a koozie this year, given away a couple flags this year, given away a Buccateers t-shirt. Then in the near future, on our Saturday Showdown Weekend of Football kickoff show, we're literally going to be giving away some college football gear. We plan on getting in the near future as well. So giveaways, we appreciate those. Our guy Scoot Gray in the house from Milwaukee. Great show, fellas. Thanks so much, SG. We love you, brother. Appreciate it. Can't wait to see you soon. But Zach, before we bounce out of here, and have a great night, and we'll be back tomorrow. Any final words for the program, sir? This one was a lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. These are great. Next show, we plan to dig a little bit more into the different types of jerseys. We've been having a little bit of issues getting the pictures up so we can kind of show you what we're talking about. And then I'm going to use that to talk about one of my favorite things, which is pen choice. My wife hates going to Target or Michael's with me because I have to try out the pens. Michael's actually has really cool setup to where you can use the pen in the store and see how it works. So I will spend 40 minutes just marking stuff up. So real excited about it. Pen choice is a huge pet peeve of mine. So I will be up on my soapbox next show talking about pen choice. So if you want to hear about pen choices, we got the show for you.
Mr. Folger saying Zebra 301 is the GOAT pen. Yeah, Zach, I agree with you, though. What item are you getting signed? That's a big deal. People don't realize that. So pen choices we could get into, jersey choices, because remember, Bucs will wear the white creams again next week. We're going to talk about more jerseys, more coloring, more opportunities. We will be back on the 6th of October, a week from tonight. Remember, this is a bi-monthly show, so October 6th and probably October 20th. We'll give you guys a little bit of a pregame action for Bucs Lions while covering the thing we love most, memorabilia. But Zach, this is awesome. Very fun show. Very exciting. The chat was lit tonight thanks to Mr. Folger, Olivia, Scoot Gray, Richard T, J-Lo, Jennifer F, Matt Kratz, Pep and Steppen, Christian Metz, B-Shuck in the house as well. Hey, better late than never, B-Shuck, right, Zach?
Right. Absolutely. Thanks for showing up, Brian.
Yeah, Brian, we love you, brother. Catch a replay if you can. And, still can't believe the great weekend we had a couple weeks back. That was a lot of fun between Saturday dinner and Sunday. The game day was a lot of fun. And Zach, I was actually debating going to the Jets or Eagles game, so I'm very glad I decided to go to the Jets.
Yeah, I couldn't pass up seeing the 76ers in person. I couldn't make Seattle, so I had to get down and see them, and it was worth it. It was worth it. They were glorious.
B-Shuck, you ain't right. The man, the myth, the legend.
The stadium 76 out was nice. All the retro logos, the Tecmo Bowl helmet logo in the middle of the field. Man, it was so nostalgic and great. All the video boards went retro. All the merch was basically retro in the stadium. Too bad it wasn't retro prices on concessions, but that's a whole other argument for another day.
Yeah, we get a text in from Jenna saying, I love zebra pens, LMAO, my absolute favorite 0.7 millimeter ballpoint. So we'll talk about that. But Zach, to piggyback off of you, the music was fun as well in the stadium. They played a lot of oldies but goodies. I love all types of music. I love rap. I love hip hop. I love rock. EDM I could do without, but nothing against that. I like country. I like it all. But the stadium vibes felt really cool listening to the 70s, 80s oldies, that our parents grew up around.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a cool vibe. I was glad I got to be a part of it. And it's always good when you go to Ray J and come away with a W.
The best feeling in the world, brother. That's Zach, Bucs by 30. I'm Tampa Tones. And if you missed it, I was lucky enough to be on the great JC Allen show earlier, the Pirate Parlay podcast, giving my thoughts about the Eagles game and previewing the Seahawks game. Go check out the Sick Podcast Network Pirate Parlay podcast from today. I was on with the great JC Allen. Zach, have a great night. Enjoy the doubleheader, brother. Hopefully see you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Fire the damn cannons. Bro, we'll put it like that.
Nice.
What's it like? I was actually there in attendance in Cleveland for Coe's first career NFL touchdown, which was awesome. And,
Awesome.
It was a great game. You could hear me on camera. I was just screaming, say it ain't so, Coe. Say it ain't so. Sadly, from there, the game kind of went off the rails a little. That was the last high moment of that game. But it was a great game. Overtime loss, fun time.
Yeah.
But how was that moment for you? Seeing the first, whether it was on TV, in person, wherever you were, seeing his first NFL touchdown. How was that?
Well, dude, I mean, we were at home because it was a away game. We don't travel to a lot of the away games because we can get into that later. But, to watch that and to think I wished I was there live. So to have your video was so cool. And just say, this is so cool. I mean, that was so cool for us. Catching it from Tom Brady, right? Like he's got the ball yet. I mean, first NFL touchdown means a lot, right? I mean, as a dad, this is so cool to see. And it was fun to watch. And, it didn't have the outcome we wanted, but still the same. What a memory! What a memory to have, right? So,
and honestly,
cool.
those. One of the best guests ever, the Buccateers in the house. You guys hear him on Tampa radio all the time. He's one of the best in the business. My favorite personal in the business. That's why I'm elated tonight. Growing up in the Chicago area, you're used to sports radio. That's what gets me through the day. So this man does help get me through the day, I will say, with the Pat and Aaron show at work. Nothing like it. So it's incredible. It looks like we got Stunna bumbling in. I'm Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by
It
Pat
looks like
Donovan.
Son is hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like you got a little.
No, my camera's broke.
And he was trying to pull me in big time. And then I was like, hey, you know, nothing's happened with Indianapolis yet. Like, I really want to give Indy a chance. And then also I talked to Cody Gruden, you know, once he took over Rich McCann, and still like, well, look, I was like, y'all just give me the opportunity to explore free agency, see what's going on, and then kind of make us do it.
All right, everyone, you are tuned into the Buccateers of wide receiver Kalen Geiger, and we are about to have a great pod. This is the Buccateers. You're tapped in, and here we go.